Ok, el tercer verbo que aprendemos hoy, el último verbo, es interesar. Interesar es un cognato. ¿Qué significa un cognato? Right, it means the same in English and in Spanish. It looks the same, and that's what we're doing. So, interesar, ¿qué significa to interest? Again, I'm doing a little bit of a Dora the Explorer where I'm trying to get you to think about it and maybe answer the question. I have no idea if you got it right, but I'm just going to assume that you did. Okay. So, interesar. Now, we use this the same way as we do with aburrir. We follow the same pattern that we saw with gustar, although that doesn't follow the same when we're thinking about in English. This is a lot more straightforward, right? So when you think back to that bell work, hopefully you did that Google form where I had you just think about a handful of things that maybe interest you. This might be something that comes up when you're talking about school or a hobby, right? And so that's something that we're going to see. So I'll give you an example. Now let's say we're going back to the school kind of vocabulary in chapter 3. So a couple of questions there on the bell work for that. So I'll give you an example of what that might look like. We might say, me interesa la clase de biología. Biología? It's a cognate, right? Biology. So what we're saying here, me interesa la clase de biología. Okay? Biology class interests me. Okay. And so the same way we did with the other two verbs, we're going to take this verb, and depending on whether this is singular or plural, this is the one that we're going to make sure we change. Okay. This will stay the same because if we're talking about something that's interesting or boring or something that is pleasing to me, right, we're always going to have me. Now, as we go, we're going to learn what the other pronouns are. Okay, the other ones that we use when we're talking about maybe something that's interesting to you or to him or to us or to you all or to them, right? So those different forms that we might see with those other subjects. Okay, so in the same way, if I say me interesa los libros de fantasía, okay, fantasía, fantasy, right? This is something over the e-learning time that I've been listening to a lot. Okay, these fantasy books. Never really been a fantasy fan, but e-learning days bring out the weirdest part of us, right? So there you go. So again, this one makes sense, right? We say me interesa los libros, right? This is singular, but we're talking about something that's plural. That's that thing that's interesting to us. So instead of me interesa, this is a regular AR verb. We want to say me interesan. Okay, so you always want to make sure that when we're using these verbs, you're making sure what is singular and what is plural to make that change. Now, if you saw the boring video, I mean, they're all boring, probably, right? When we're talking about the verb aburrir, I didn't go over the actions like I did in gustar. Okay, so this is, we really wouldn't do that, right? We wouldn't say it bores me to do something, right? We might, but it's not something that's very common. We might say I don't like that, which is a little different. So we might say something like this: it's interesting to me to do something. Okay, that might be something we say, it might not be. If you wanted to say something like that, we would follow the same pattern as the gustar, where we put this in the singular form. So we might say me interesa jugar baseball. Me interesa leer los libros de fantasía. If we're ever going to use a verb afterwards, again, we want to make sure it's in the infinitive. Okay, we won't want to break our rule. We can't have two verbs that are conjugated in a row, right? So that's our rule. But we'll have this always in the singular form. Okay. If you have questions about any of these verbs, por favor, mándame un mensaje. Okay, send me a message.